Hello, it's Andrew from Great Lakes Numismatics. In this video, we're going to talk about basic coin grading. We're not going to go into super detail about grading. It's a pretty large subject that would take a lot more than the time that one video would be. So we're going to just cover some of the basics, what to look for on coins in general to come up with the grades, what tools are available to help you with your grading. This video I'm going to do a little bit differently than the ones I've done in the past. I'm going to do voiceovers over example pictures and point out the areas that you need to look for on some different coins. I'm not going to go through every possible coin, as this will be a much larger project, and in future videos we'll talk about individual types of coins and get into more detail on those. So make sure if you enjoy this video that you hit like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I put out new videos. And let's get to it. Coins are graded generally on a scale from 1 to 70. Now, this applies to U.S. coins, and it can apply to world coins, but it's something to be aware of that, especially in Europe, they use a different system. But we're going to concentrate on the U.S. system of the 1 through 70. 1 being that a poor coin that is barely identifiable, and 70 being a perfect coin. Now, good place to start learning what you should know about grading is, as always, grab the red book. Each different coin type will have a brief description of the major grades, and it'll tell you the high points to look at. And also, there are several apps available, such as the PCGS Photo Grade, which gives photos of coins in different grades. And another thing you could do is assemble a set based off this information that you can compare your coins to and be able to distinguish a coin of a particular grade. In addition to the number grade, there will also be a descriptive term that is the more traditional grades that were used before the 1 through 70 system was introduced. For example, 1 would be considered poor, 2 is considered fair. When you reach 4, it's good. When you reach 8, it'd be very good or VG. 12 is an F or fine. When you reach 20, it would be a VF or VF20, very fine. EF40 is extremely fine. AU50 would be about uncirculated. And when you reach 60, it's considered uncirculated, where you're not seeing wear, but you might see bag marks and such. And then up through 70 is different levels of uncirculated coins. It should also be noted that coins should have even wear on both sides, where every now and then you'll see one where you may grade it good on one side and very good on the other. But ideally, you want to try to find coins that are more or less the same grade on both sides of the coin. Now, we'll start talking a little bit here about wheat cents, because that's probably the coin that most people will get started coin collecting with. And it's also a fairly easy one to learn the grades for. One of the high points, as pointed out here, is the lines in the wheat stalks on the reverse, where if you see where it gets down to there's no lines, you could be considered good. You also want full rims. But get down to where half these lines aren't there, but you still see some, it's could be considered in a very good condition, a VG8. And in order to be considered fine, all those lines should be present. They could be worn, but they should all be visible. Now, when you get to the higher grades, that's where you want to look at the obverse a little more closely. When you get into like extremely fine EF40 on Lincoln Cents, you want to look at his cheek and jawbone. There should be a separation there, and that may not be as prevalent. VF should also be separated, but you're going to see more wear. And when you get to about uncirculated, you're going to see some wear there, and also an area that sees a lot of wear, as you can see in the coin pictured here and pointed out in the arrow, is Lincoln's shoulder. That's usually a spot where you're going to see some of the first wear showing up. Now, Jefferson nickels, I'm not going to get quite as detailed as I was on the wheat cents, but a few areas you want to look at and is the cheekbone, as well as just like on the Lincoln cents, especially in the lower grades. And then on the reverse, you want to start looking at how much of the pillars are there, especially the second one from the right. And then above where I'm pointing on the arrow in this picture, you can see there's a triangle above the pillars. That's one of the spots where you'll start seeing early wear. Something else I'd like to point out at this time is mint luster. You'll want an original mint luster, and that's something that's really hard to show in pictures or on video. That with experience, you'll start to learn the difference between mint luster and a coin being shined or cleaned. And a coin that's been cleaned or shined is really going to detract from the value and makes the coin, for the professional graders, ungradable, and will often be returned with what they call as a details grade. And it may show the details of a certain grade, but it can't qualify as that grade because it has been cleaned and considered damaged at that point. Now, you will definitely see a difference between a polished coin and mint luster. So it's something to be aware of. And when you're using a reference material, make sure that you're looking for the luster as well. Again, something very difficult to show in pictures or in video, but it's something that I wanted to bring your attention to before we got too far into this video. Now, Jefferson nickels is the perfect time to bring up strike quality as well and eye appeal. Now, where I'm pointing to on this picture is the steps, and you will see sometimes Jefferson nickels designated as FS or full steps, and that means it has a very good strike and it has all steps present. And the number of steps differs by year, which you can look up when you start getting into grading these for yourselves. But if you notice in this picture, this coin is uncirculated. It came from a mint set, so I know it's never been circulated, and this is showing a weak strike on the steps here. Basically, you don't see any steps at all, and there's also bag marks across the steps, and the bag marks themselves would take away from the coin being considered a full step. And that's something to really watch for, especially in older Jefferson nickels, because full steps can and will draw a premium over a similar coin that isn't showing full steps. Now, Roosevelt dimes, the first area you want to look at is the torch head, the flame. That's usually where you're going to start seeing some wear, as well as the leaves on both sides. of the torch itself. And then you want to look at the vertical lines in the torch, and the higher grades you want to make sure that all those lines are present. That is like extremely fine and above. And the next thing you want to look at is the bands that go across the torch. And the arrows in the next two shots will show the bands that you want to look at. Now this is another point that has to do with the quality of the strike, and you will see a designation on graded coins as FT for full torch or FSB full split bands. And this applies for the Mercury dimes as well, or the Winged Liberty is the proper name for them. But that's something you want to look for on your better quality dimes. Something to look for when you're pulling modern dimes out of circulation is you would like to see these on the coins that you're saving. And when it comes to Washington quarters, the first things to look at is the reverse. Look at the eagle's breast. Look at the feathers on there. That's where you're going to see wear early in the coin's life, as well as the hairlines on George Washington himself. And you want to really want to see that the feathers are clear in the wings as well. Now, this has been a real brief overview of grading and the areas to look for on a few different coins. And like I said, there's the red book will tell you the main points to look for on each coin type, and we'll go into a lot more detail than what I did. And also the PCGS photo grade app, it's available for your phones, tablets. This is really good in conjunction with the red book, because you can see the pictures, but it doesn't have word descriptions. So using them together is a very good way of learning how to grade. And again, be very wary of cleaned coins, damaged coins, and remember that that will affect the grade. In either case, you can't really grade the coin the same way. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. Please hit like, share this with your other friends that are into coin collecting or may want to start coin collecting, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell and you'll find out when I release new videos. Thank you very much.